Hello, welcome to Conversations with Dr. Fryson. And today I'm going to be answering some questions that I've gotten over the last 2 weeks. And I know I'm a little delayed in getting a response to you guys, so thank you for your patience. I truly appreciate that. As most of you know, I am traveling, so life is what it is. Let's start with a little energy clearing. Okay, so this first question that I'm going to answer is regarding spirits, relationships, being single. The summary of the question is, why would spirit allow or enable a person who has a desire to be in a relationship to remain single? The answer has a few different levels. And first, this depends on the individual. So I'm going to give a general response, but I want you to know that there are times when things really need to be specific. In general, some people come to this life and they are never going to be in a relationship. And there are lots of reasons for that. One can be because of karmic debt that they carry from a previous life, which is very real and very strong. And what that means is that in a previous existence, that individual did not do well in relationships, or they abused their power and their role in the previous relationship on such a level to where in this life they end up longing for something that they cannot get, right? Another reason that this happens is a person comes here with a very specific spiritual kind of job. And in order to do that job, they cannot be tied to relationships because the relationships require so much of them, and it would take away from the job that they are actually doing. And when I say relationship, this is a partnership on a romantic level, because most people don't really lose all the energy within them to partnerships that are not on a romantic level. They can, but that's another story. And another thing that happens is a person is actually not being open and receptive to the chance at receiving love. So a person may have an offer of love from someone, and because that person does not present themselves in a certain way, the person rejects them immediately without taking the time to consult with the universe about whether or not this is the relationship for them. And what that means is people have ideals and expectations, and you cannot grow beyond your ideals and expectations. You have to break those down. So I can tell you of an example just recently. Someone was asking me a question about their relationship, and this person is involved with someone that they have been dating for several years, and they are not even engaged. And the person said, I would really like to be engaged, but I'm okay that we're living together. And I said, so why aren't you engaged? And the person said, well, I want this certain type of ring. I want this, and it was all financial and material. So the need to be in the connection on what they see as a goal of marriage, which marriage is different for a lot of people, but they see it as them walking down the aisle, exchanging rings, being legally bound to each other. In order for their partner to meet the expectations of marriage, they want the partner to spend a certain amount of money to get a ring. So now they are waiting, and the partner doesn't have the money for the ring. So that person could right now today be married, which is their goal, to a person who wants to be married to them if they did not have that expectation of needing a ring of a certain denomination as far as financial monetary value, right? Now, what happens if the partner is like, you know what, you are too expensive, I can't do this, I really love you, I want to spend the rest of my life with you, but if you're not going to accept me as I am today, we're going to have to be done and over with. That individual who's been waiting for that ring is going to feel some kind of way, and they're going to have a little bit of debt associated with that relationship, and they're going to be a little jaded towards that relationship. Now, that's one involving money, but there's other things. When you have things in your own personality, meaning you have so many expectations of the ideal mate, yet you don't reach or live up to any of those expectations. And then you meet someone who's at your level, you reject them because you're rejecting yourself. That is not necessarily an outside spiritual force causing you to be single. That's your own actions, right? And that is because you are not in tune with the spiritual side of yourself that loves who you are at every single point in life, that appreciates the value that you have and give to a relationship. If you come from a place of confusion and doubt and hate and, well, if you can't do this for me, or I'm this person, you're going to run into people that see you in that light and bring that same type of energy to you. If you come from a place of, I am love, and I would like to share the love that I have with someone, you will meet people who bring that same energy to you. And some people say, that's who I am, but their actions do not reflect that. Some people have a specific thing of, well, they can come to me, but they better come correct. So you're already setting that relationship up for failure. It is more important to say, does this person and I have a soul connection? Are we able to meet on the majority of the things that really matter at the core? And for many people, that is how they believe spiritually, financially, in the sense that if you're a hard worker, you would like someone who's a hard worker, or at least appreciates working hard, or you want someone who is not going to put you in the poorhouse per se. Those are things that are key. But you got to start at the soul level. And I'm going to talk about some numbers on the next video so you guys can understand what I'm saying. Now, the other thing that happens, and I've seen this a lot, some people spend their entire lives pining over that which they can never achieve. I have a person I know, and this person, at the time when I met them, I want to say they had been in love with a gay man for at least maybe 4 or 5 years. And they had all these fantasies about the person being with them and them getting together and having a family. And this individual was a female, and the individual that the female gave all this love to was a gay male. And I get into the weeds of things. I was asking questions like, oh, well, what was this, a bisexual person and you guys had a relationship and then that fell apart? Turns out they never even had a relationship. They were only friends. But this female liked the male so much. All she ever talked about was, oh, one time we went out and ate lunch together. And she took that little piece of something and ran with that. And for the next at least 8 years that I was around her, she was always talking about the hope of being with this person who was never going to see her as anything more than a friend. And some people do that because it is easier to cling to a false hope than it is to get into a relationship that has the ability to grow and be something more. So, and sometimes you can have a soul connection with a person that's not romantic, and because you feel so strongly about that person, you expect for it to be romantic. Most people don't understand you can have a partner that is a family member, and you guys are so strongly connected. Let's just say the two of you are cousins, that your life would not be complete. Or let's just use an example in the famous world of Oprah and Gayle King. Everybody talks about them being best friends for all of these years, 40, 50 years, however long it's been. That's like a connection, apparently, that cannot be broken. I haven't done a numerology chart, so I don't know if it can be broken or not. But from the outside, I would say probably not a connection that's going to be broken. Is that really a relationship that someone could see and say they're like lovers? Yeah, people say that because of the closeness. Does it really have to be facts? No. You can have that kind of bond and mistake that for something else. And in the case with this previous person, that's what it was. That guy would do anything for her, anytime, day or night. And that guy considered her to be his best friend. That's it. She over-romanticized the situation. So do you blame that on a spiritual force? No. You don't. You can't. Right? That's not what's causing the problem. That's not what's causing that individual to be single. Wasting all that time going after someone that you could never have, while at the same time saying, I want to be in a relationship, is causing that individual to be single. Okay? So they weren't doing the work. And that's the important thing. They were not doing the work. And I would encourage you to stop and evaluate yourself. Have you been doing the work? Have you been open to receiving relationships? Are you on a spiritual path? Are you helping the universe, the collective? Is the work that you're doing on a level to where you don't have room for someone else? Even on that, I say that there's always room for someone else. And a lot of times when you're doing a work of helping others, you need someone to help you. And relationships tend to do that. So if you do not have that support system, it's a whole lot harder for you to be able to do the work that you're trying to do. The other question that I would ask you to ask yourself is, do you line up with what it is you're expecting? When I've worked with people doing my coaching, I find that many of them don't have what they're looking for. And it's just not realistic because you have not even envisioned that thing. Now, that doesn't mean that a person who's not a millionaire won't meet a millionaire. That happens. But there are some characteristics that people don't have. Like, you want a person to put you first, but yet and still, you're not willing to put them first. You're like, they got to take me plus X, Y, and Z. And that person's like, I only want you. right? You don't want them to be like, you got to take me in X, Y, and Z. In some circumstances, it's totally appropriate. You know, a person who has children, a single parent who's raising children, and then you meet someone, and yeah, that's a package, right? But there are other times when it's not a package, but you've made it into a package, right? Now, another reason that a person has been called to be alone is because they have not cut ties with previous relationships. And I say this, and I'm going to give you an example so you can understand this. There have been people who have been in relationships, have broken up with those individuals, and yet they are still constantly in contact with that individual. Constantly, well, I just had to do this for so and so. How do you think another energy that can come in when you still have that energy all up in your life? This can be more specifically seen in cases of people who are married but separated, have been married and separated for a number of years, have no intention of getting back with the person, and yet still they have that person's energy tied to them. Because marriage is a contract. And if you're in the United States and you actually read the marriage contract, and as I have, because I'm a notary and I have performed weddings, if you actually read that, you are actually binding yourself to this person. Not just financially, but you bind yourself spiritually, emotionally, things of that nature. So when that person leaves and you do not separate completely in all ways, you're going to have that energy attached to you. So then you complain that you meet other people and they have some of those energies and tendencies of this past person that you are still connected to. And then you complain because you meet other people and you're like, well, they know I'm married. So where's the separation line? And this doesn't have to be a marriage in the physical contract. People marry and tie themselves in a spiritual and emotional way without ever signing on a dotted line. And in order for you to understand that, you would have to understand that the act of having sex, the act of commingling, is a spiritual connection. It is a marriage physical sense, because in a traditional way of having sex, it involves tearing of flesh, it involves bodily fluids being exchanged and intermingled. That's what happens in the actual act. And that's a problem for some people because they have what is termed in these days as high body counts. So they have a lot of people's energy with them. And when you have a lot of other energies with you, it's very difficult to sort out when the right energy is coming your way, and that energy is coming towards you to bring you the love that you deserve or you desire. And you have all of these energies that you have not stripped out of your life. And that's why it's important for people to recognize the problem with the trend of having high body counts, right? Multiple partners, all these different things that people are doing on a regular basis all at once, and not understanding that that is an energy exchange, and so you carry all of that with you. And then it becomes chaos, and you're never really able to truly get out of that and just connect with a person that you meet and the energy just gels. You have people that you're able to be in relationships with, but not the soul connection. And the reason you can't have it is because all of those other energies are there. And when all of those other energies are there, those energies are competing with each other and competing with any other energy that is attempting to come into your life, come into your sphere. Another reason is that people have limiting beliefs. And that is, a person feels as, I'm not worthy. There's no one out there who could ever love me because I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, I'm too poor, I'm too rich, I have too much money to trust people, I don't have enough money, I don't have a good job, I don't have a high school diploma, I don't have a bachelor's, I don't have a house, I don't have a master's, I don't have a... All of the limits that you're putting on yourself prevent you from allowing someone to come in. I need for you to take a moment and just say to yourself, I am enough, I am worthy, I deserve love. We're going to seal that, okay? If you have limiting beliefs, it is very difficult to overcome them because they are powerful and that you created them, you believe them, and no one else can change them. And until you change them, you're going to be stuck in that cycle. And they are so powerful, the universe responds to whatever it is that you ask for. And when you are stuck in that, there's no one for me, there was only one person for me, and that person didn't want me, they rejected me, and now no one else will want me. The universe says you're right. When people talk to me about the relationships that I've been in, and they're like, how is it that you've been in these relationships? And it's because when I've wanted a relationship, I was like, okay, I want one, and it comes. And when I never felt like there was something about me that would prevent me from being in a relationship. I feel that I offer so much to a relationship on so many different levels. So, of course, I meet people and then they're like, yeah, I feel like you offer so much on so many different levels, right? And then when I went in a period of seclusion and wanting to heal, then guess what? No, I wasn't in a relationship. And now at this phase of my life, I want to make sure that when I connect with a person, it's a person that's going to help me with my spiritual business. There's so many different levels. I don't want to squash who I am, make myself small to be in a relationship with a person, because that doesn't work. I don't want to make myself be larger than someone else, because that doesn't work. I want to find someone who's able to handle the gifts that I have and who has gifts, right? That's at this point, right? But I know that that person exists. And I know that at some point we would actually be in the same space, right? And then it would make sense and we would come together. I know that. I just know that, right? I know that no matter what flaws I think I may have, that person is going to be able to accept them. Because the person for you is going to like you, love you, desire you where you are. You are not going to have to be a different version of yourself in order for them to like and love you. When you come into each other's sphere, you're going to be able to be like, oh, this is my person. So that means if your size is you're 6'2", 500 pounds, and you meet the person, they're going to be like, I like that 6'2", 500 pounds. Now, that is something that comes about once you understand that there is a person created for you. Sometimes it's not this lifetime. And that it has multiple other levels. Because we reincarnate, sometimes we're not on the same timeline. So we don't connect in this time. We connect at a different time. And I want the person who asked me this question to consider this. Who are you connected to? Who is it that you consider to be the love of your life? And that will answer this question for you. I thank you for the question because I think this question will help so many people when they listen to my response and they start asking themselves new questions. Remember that I am a guide. I can give you guidance on things, but you have the answer. There's something that I said that resonated with you and confirmed something you were thinking. If it did not confirm something that you were already thinking, this message is not for you. This answer is not for you. And whenever you interact with someone, know that we are all born with intuition. It gets cluttered and all messed up because of the things that we go through and experience in life. But on a deep level, there's an inner knowing within all of us. No matter what spiritual path, the religious path you follow, that comes as a roadmap. That is, we are born with it. Every last individual is born with it. We shut it down, or it's shut down by society, and therefore we're not as in tuned and strong. Now, and there's different levels, and there really are different levels. There is a such thing as women normally have higher intuition than men, and people who are gender fluid have higher intuition than men. There are levels, and then there's a male who, different people who have been able to allow it to be free, and they have higher levels of it because they've worked with it. That doesn't mean that everyone doesn't have it. Every individual has the ability to connect with those who have passed. Every individual has the ability to connect with those who have passed. Right? I need for you to understand that. So these questions that you pose to yourself and you pose to other people, when you get an answer, something inside of you will resonate. And that's how you know that that's the answer for you. And this cannot be any more clear than I was speaking with two individuals at the same time. And you might see this video, so you might know that I'm talking about this situation we recently had. And when I said some things to them, they were like, "You're so right, you're so right, you're so right." It's something they already knew. I only confirmed it. Right? So remember that when you listen to these videos, and find a video and the question and the answer that resonates with you. Okay? Thank you again for the question. I apologize for the delay, but in reality, timing is what it is. When the video is made, the video comes out, it's the perfect time for you. Now, go about your day. You guys have a beautiful existence today, tomorrow, forever. Talk to you later. Bye. Before we really say bye,